Chapter 3. The Preparation of the Mystic. At this point, someone who's practical might ask, how on earth am I supposed to do this? How can I disconnect from the artificial world I'm used to? Is there some way to put the brakes on my overactive imagination? You're going to achieve this through a process of education and training. The initial stages may indeed be challenging. You've already recognized the need for such mental training and deliberate focus in varying aspects of your life. You willingly invest time and resources in honing your attention in what you might call business training, legal education, or learning a scientific method. But this new endeavor involves developing and training a part of your consciousness that hasn't been used much before. It makes sense and can actually be reassuring that achieving success will need dedication and effort. Imagine it as using the same qualities you'd use when playing golf, rather than as giving up a more relaxed lifestyle. The journey to educate your mystical sense begins with simplifying yourself. It means shifting from being complex and analytical in your feelings, desires, and observations to becoming more straightforward and holistic. I understand that for practical people, this may seem demanding and could cause some anxiety. However, these words are directed at you, practical individuals, who are reading this as you rush through the subway on your way to rearrange small, insignificant pieces of your world. This message is much needed in your busy lives, or should I say your lack of time. You are the unconscious analyzers so engrossed in reading the advertisements on the subway walls that you hardly notice the passing stations. You're so focused on collecting the crumbs that you forget to look up at the whole loaf. The heart of mystical contemplation can be summarized in two experiences. First, connecting with the flow of life, and second, uniting with the entirety that encompasses all lesser realities. Surprisingly, these experiences are well within your reach. Even though you might not like to hear it, you are in fact already potential contemplatives. As St. Thomas Aquinas once taught, this act is innate to all humans and is, in fact, the defining human activity. Furthermore, it's quite likely that you've been an actual contemplative without realizing it. Have you ever had these moments where you were fully immersed in a quick and satisfying experience but couldn't articulate it properly? When the world suddenly felt strange and you eagerly embraced it, feeling both exhilarated and a bit embarrassed? Maybe there was a time when you embraced the person who now assists you in picking your dinner, and during that instant it felt like she unveiled the entire universe to you. A universe so vast and intensely profound that you've hardly dared to think of it since. Or do you recall that peculiar moment at the concert when you became utterly unaware of your comfy but ordinary seat? These were moments of involuntary contemplation, sudden glimpses beyond the curtain of your thoughts. Can you honestly claim these were your life's most insignificant moments? Didn't you, during those times, feel a profound sense of love and awe, akin to the African saint St. Augustine of Hippo, who was thrilled with love and dread? Or in simpler terms, haven't you experienced moments of love and awe similar to St. Augustine's, regardless of how they were described? As an adult, you've likely experienced moments of contemplation without even realizing it. Think back to those times when you were completely absorbed in the beauty of a sunset or the magnificence of a natural landscape. In these moments, you might have been captivated by the sheer splendor of the scene, finding it challenging to put your profound emotions into words. These instances of involuntary contemplation often evoke a deep sense of love and awe for the natural world, even if you didn't have a specific name or label for what you were admiring. These moments go beyond ordinary emotions, offering you a glimpse into a more genuine and meaningful reality. It's a world where everything feels whole and harmonious, where distractions fade away, and you experience a profound connection to a reality that your intellect can't entirely grasp. Such an emotion is the driving force of spirit, a majestic and ultimate force. Your innermost self perceived it as such when your eyes were open to the light. The initial step in all mystical experiences is simplification. It involves gathering those scattered pieces of your personality into the one that truly defines you, what the mystics call the unity of your spirit. Occasionally, powerful forces like love, beauty, wonder, and grief may achieve this for you. They forcibly lift you from contemplating the details to contemplating the entirety. They shift your focus from the organized world of mental images to the indescribable world of reality. However, these experiences are fleeting and uncontrollable, arriving with intense force. Are you willing to let your connection with reality depend solely on these unpredictable occurrences, like sudden gusts of wind and rain that clean your windows and reveal the view outside? If you choose to, you can keep those windows clear and learn to look through them. These are the two significant phases in the education of every contemplative, known in mystical terms as the purification of the senses and the purification of the will. Those who are fortunate enough to experience a life-changing event, often called a conversion, feel as though they've been seized by a force stronger than themselves, which turns them in the right direction. They discover that this irresistible power has wiped away the dirt from their windows, and they genuinely see a new world. For these individuals, the lengthy and quiet process of adjustment that others must undergo before achieving certainty is condensed into one intense upheaval of self. After this, they can start their true journey of aligning themselves with the reality they perceived. I'm not addressing people of this type. Instead, I'm speaking to the everyday, diligent students of life who will need to reach the same destination through a more gradual path. What clouds the clarity of our senses? It's thought, convention, and self-interest. We create a mental fog between ourselves and the outside world, and we perceive things through this fog, like looking at something dimly through a frosted glass. We see the world in the way our neighbors see it, sometimes with a rosy tint, other times with a grayish hue. Our perspective can be clouded by factors like religion, indigestion, self-righteousness, or dissatisfaction. The trendy colors of a popular art movement can also distort our view. Additionally, we don't see the narrow world our windows reveal to us as it truly is. Instead, we see it in relation to our personal needs, emotions, and preferences. These factors have a selective influence on the few aspects of reality that make it into our consciousness, determining the order in which we arrange them. In the natural state, our universe is very self-centered. We continue to label living creatures just as Adam, the biblical first man, did in the beginning, and whatever we name them, that becomes their name. Genesis 2:20. Unless we happen to be artists, and even then it's rare, we never truly see the thing seen in its pure form. Throughout our lives, we never look at it with truly impartial eyes. Our perception and understanding of it are shaped by everything we bring with us and blend with it to form a mixture our minds can work with. To purify the senses means freeing them, as much as humans can, from the domination of self-centered judgments. It means turning them into instruments of direct perception. To grasp this concept in a more tangible manner, consider it in the context of anxiety. Anxiety often emerges suddenly, and one way to dissect these feelings is by focusing on their physical manifestations, setting aside the emotional labels. For instance, you might experience a tight sensation in your stomach, a feeling of dizziness, or a tingling sensation along your spine. When examining these physical sensations, it's akin to creating a clinical inventory detached from the emotional connotations typically associated with each symptom. Delving deeper into this examination, you might describe the knotted feeling in your stomach as energy concentrated in a specific area, the lightheadedness as a sensation of lightness and imbalance, and the tingling along your spine as a heightened and intense sensory experience. Each description remains factual and distinct from its emotional counterpart, which we often attribute to our overall experience. This requires us to overcome our deep-seated desire for categorization and personal significance, We need to ignore the instinctive, self-centered question, what does this mean for me? Instead, we must learn to immerse ourselves in the world around us, getting to know it not from the outside through intellectual understanding, but from the inside through a merging of ourselves with it. Richard of St. Victor once said that the core of all purification is self-simplification. It means getting rid of the unnecessary and unreal aspects of our consciousness, the complexities and tangles. We should remember that when these spiritual masters talk about purity, they don't mean a dry, abstract set of rules that mainly involve saying no to things, as some modern asceticism might suggest. Their idea of purity is positive. It's about being strong, clean, and crystal clear, capable of aligning with the wholeness of a world filled with the presence of God. Think of a pure soul like a lens that has been cleansed of all impurities and distractions, like dust and scratches. This allows it to reflect a clear image of the one ultimate truth in which all other truths are held. In simpler terms, everything we experience, every joy and satisfaction, is encompassed within that ultimate truth, just as all the colors of the rainbow are contained within white light. And we can truly possess these experiences by going beyond them, by tracing back from the many to the one. The simple eye of contemplation, as described by mystics, is like a holistic sense. It perceives white light without breaking it down into separate colors. Similarly, the simple ear that hears celestial melodies listens to a tone in which all music is united. This experience is like what Keats called sensation without thought, which he believed to be the essence of genuine happiness. But you, practical person, have spent your entire life surrounded by the illusions of complexity. While you naturally have the ability to simplify and make sense of things, as it's essential to bring order to your world, you've been accustomed to a world filled with conflicting values, interests, people, and ideas. Ambitions, affections, preferences, and biases are all vying for your attention, and your consciousness is constantly darting around among them, making your mind feel restless and cluttered. Right now, your thoughts might be as chaotic as a swarm of bees. To illustrate how ambitions, affections, preferences, and biases vie for attention, consider a marketing manager in their early 30s who aspires to climb the corporate ladder quickly. Ambition, while also desiring a strong work-life balance. Affection for personal life. They have a preference for a flexible work schedule. Preference. But often feel pressured by their company's culture to work long hours. Bias toward professional success. In their daily life, these conflicting ambitions, affections, preferences, and biases constantly compete for their attention. They want to excel in their career, spend quality time with their family, maintain their personal interests, and adhere to their professional commitments. This internal struggle can create a mental restlessness and a feeling of clutter as they navigate the complex landscape of their life choices. The task of reducing this frenetic complexity into a unified whole may seem impossible. However, there's hope for you. All this chaos is happening on the surface of your mind, where it interacts with the external world. At the core of your being, there is a stillness that even you cannot disturb. There, your inner self exists, the part of you that remains unchanged amid the ever-shifting landscape of your conscious experiences. You've glimpsed this center on occasion. Achieving inner focus and self-awareness involves the practice of mindfulness and meditation. It starts by redirecting your attention away from external distractions and thoughts, focusing inward to connect with your inner self. These techniques guide you to fully embrace the present moment, explore your thoughts and emotions, and establish a profound connection with your innermost core. Various spiritual traditions emphasize the universal importance of inner balance and connection. Whether it's the Eastern idea of the 1,000-petaled lotus, or the Christian advice to hold on to your center, these insights reveal the timeless nature of this practical method. It's not just a concept, but an engaged approach, requiring focused effort and dedicated practice. By nurturing a deep connection with your inner self, you can find tranquility, gain perspective on your thoughts and emotions, and achieve greater clarity, purpose, and alignment with a profound reality. In essence, the journey toward inner focus and self-awareness involves cultivating self-awareness, practicing mindfulness, and consciously connecting with your innermost self for increased clarity, inner peace, and a deeper understanding of your true self and your place in the world. The universe and its potential are much more abundant and straightforward than you might have imagined. When you view them from the genuine core of your being, rather than the usual perspective of self-interest, all their scattered elements fall into place. You start to recognize the various levels of reality that a purified and heightened awareness can connect with. Similarly, the path toward this understanding is more logically structured and divided into clearer stages than those who only see a limited reality might think. Human existence holds a curious duality. We can see the world in two ways, often called being and becoming, eternity and time, unity and multiplicity, or the spiritual and the natural worlds. Some individuals can grasp both perspectives, finding harmony between the local and the universal. They believe that the inner essence of the universal is also the essence of their individual lives, resolving disharmonies between the part and the whole. This inner knowing, like a musician's soul controlling both individual notes and the entire symphony, connects them to the ultimate reality, an ineffable brilliance within everything yet beyond it. This inner spark is both linked and separated from the universal soul. So let's break it down. Humans, through their most remarkable and vibrant individuals, perceive connections with three different levels of existence. We can label these as the natural, the spiritual, and the divine. The path they are meant to travel, their mystical journey, will lead them to progressively connect with these three realms. This journey will expand their awareness to the point where they perceive these as not three separate realms, but as one unified reality. In everyday life, most people only have a limited understanding of the ever-changing natural world unless they're artists. They see the cycle of growth and death, but often miss the full depth and beauty of this constant flow, sometimes called the sport of God in Indian philosophy. They get caught up in their own activities and miss the richness of life's ongoing journey. In unusual or extraordinary moments, a deeper level of human consciousness becomes more prominent. At such times, a person can sense the interconnectedness of everything around them, like hearing the music of nature. This awareness allows them to rise above the usual experience of time and realize that they are part of something even more significant, something that transcends the usual sequence of events. In this higher realm, the spirit of a person becomes fully immersed. Here, all the most valuable aspects of existence are stored, and it is their connection to this eternal reality that gives meaning to their experiences in the world of time. Understanding their relationship with this higher plane helps them see the world of constant change more clearly, grasp its proportions, and even have a faint sense of its ultimate value. To become a complete and whole person, they must establish a connection with this divine level of existence. This connection is achieved through a process of simplification. It involves intentionally redirecting one's attention away from the overwhelming complexity of everyday life, letting go of prejudices and self-interest, and surrendering the habitual way of interpreting the world. Within each person, there exists a spiritual core, often referred to as the apex or ground of the soul by ancient writers. This core serves as a point of contact with reality, but it is typically overshadowed by the busy surface consciousness. To access this spiritual core and establish a connection with a higher plane of existence, one must purify their senses, free themselves from ego-driven reactions to the world, and turn their attention inward to the unity of their spirit. By doing this, they become receptive to messages from the higher plane, a process known as recollection, which marks the first step in training the contemplative consciousness. Let's break it down. The journey to connect with reality involves several steps of preparation and achievement. These preparation steps can be grouped into two main categories. First, there's the discipline of focusing and simplifying your attention, which we call recollection. Then, there's the discipline of shaping and simplifying your emotions and will, essentially getting your heart and intentions in the right direction. This is often referred to as purgation, though it may sound intimidating. So practical mysticism for everyday people can be seen as a 5-step plan for training and personal growth. The first 2 stages get you ready for union with reality, while the last 3 stages progressively connect you with the world of constant change, the world of timeless existence, and ultimately with the ultimate truth, which philosophers might call the absolute, and religious mystics might call God.